Marcus Lovett is a former Olympic freestyle skier. He competed in 1988 at the Calgary Games. He placed 10th, went on to become a coach, working with aerial world champion Kirsty Marshall. And Marcus joins me now from the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. Marcus, thanks so much for your time. From an athlete's perspective, how will the team respond to this diplomatic boycott, do you think?
Well, as an athlete, you live a very selfish life. It's all about your sport. You want to compete at the best. You just want to go to the biggest event in the world, which is the Olympics, for a lot of these sports that aren't mainstream sports. And so it's it rips at your gut that you can't compete, or they are allowing you to compete, but they're not sending the diplomats. So that was also a very confusing thing for athletes, to do something that perhaps you don't feel right about, but you've been working on this for your whole life. So I see that there's this conundrum in their heads going on right now.
And we have seen it in the past where the boycotts have gone much further, like, say, for example, the Moscow Games, Marcus, where it wasn't just the diplomatic boycott.
It was the athletes. And I knew an athlete. She was a gymnast, and she was America's best gymnast going into the Moscow Games. And so this was her moment to shine. And yet they said, no, you can't go. And, obviously that was her only chance, because it's a very small window, especially for female gymnastics. And, although it hurt at the time, it's still, she believed in what America was doing. And so she supported it. And she, your sporting career is a very small part of your life. You've got to live with yourself for the rest of it. So she was happy with that decision finally.
What's your read on the government's decision? Do you think they've made the right call and now saying to the athletes, OK, that's fine, you go and compete? They've basically given them the clearance to do that, but they've taken a stance separately. Have they got the balance right, do you think, Marcus?
Sending half the team, or half of Australia's contingent, and sending the other half, it's a very mixed message. I think it's very difficult for their athletes because they want to go to the Olympics, and the Olympics are supposed to be not political. However, as an athlete, and a high-profile athlete, you get this responsibility, a great responsibility, and you should use it. As I said, your sporting career is small, and your whole life is so much bigger, and you've got to live with yourself. So it's up to the athletes, but I wouldn't go against. As an advice to the athletes, don't go against. If you feel wrong about competing, don't go.
Yeah, indeed. And I guess leaving it to the athletes allows them to make that call. Do they feel that by being a part of that sport, as the Olympic movement argues itself, that it is separate to politics and about trying to bring people together? There is an argument, a case for that, isn't there?
Well, there is, because what were the Olympics designed? They were designed to bring the world together, that we forget about our differences and all come together in this, great challenge. But, the world doesn't work like that anymore, and we've pushed forward. And as I said, when you are a high-profile person, whether it be sport or entertainment, you have a great responsibility put on your shoulder. And you've got to make your decisions and stick with what you believe is right.
Former Winter Olympian Marcus Lovett, great to get your thoughts on that developing story. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.